Hello, everyone. So today we will talk briefly about happiness, pandemic, and life. Uh, Pandemic, happiness, and well-being. We're going to try to cover like top 4 things that we must do during this time. I do have my colleague, my friend, Patrick Howell, who's going to join us in a second. So here he is. Hey, Patrick, welcome. How are
Hey,
you, buddy?
what's up, Ratso?
Good, good, good. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Yeah,
Cool.
certainly good.
So you and I had a brief discussion, and I know in this short period of time it's hard to cover all of this, but we want to give audience like top four things that we must do during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, good.
So let's start from what we do. What's the number one? I think it's same that you and I do. So let's lay
The
it
same
out.
thing.
What's the number one?
Yeah, it'd be before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and after the pandemic. Just making sure you're exercising, and for me in particular, I tie that together with, and I know you do too, meditation, and then the third piece I tie really is the nature piece, exercising in nature whenever I can.
So I know you do a lot in the nature. I actually make it a little simpler in the morning. I go downstairs to my basement. I do a treadmill. I do a spin bike. I do meditation. I do yoga. Sometimes I'll do one of these two. And then as far as nature, honestly, for a lot of us that are lucky enough that even have a little backyard, or we don't even have to have anything. Just go out, look at the tree, see what's happening out there and enjoy yourself.
I'd say if you're physically able, right? If you're physically able and you're in a, the pandemic, right, kind of screwed things up for everybody. But if you're physically able and you're in a place that you feel comfortable, that there's not too much congestion, then do your best to, if you at least once or twice a week, is to combine that exercise, maybe a walk, a run, a trail run, whatever it is, out into nature, if it's possible for you. Now, for some people, it might not be possible. Your exercise might look different than mine, but if it is possible, we know that nature has a therapeutic effect. We know exercise is one of the best medicines for keeping equilibrium, not only in our psychology, but for many people, our spirituality.
Right. And one thing I wanted to add, because for some people it could be hard to exercise. They may not have equipment at home. Some of us are lucky. They may not have a close nature, but it's really all about move. Just move around, jump, dance, just move. I mean, there is a reason that Apple figured out, it's not only about these 10,000 steps, but it's about the move, meaning you burn, enough calories. It's about standing up, right? So
It's just emotion. The motion creates your emotions, right?
Exactly.
Get yourself into action, and that action propels something new. And this is no secret, right? Anybody who's alive knows this. When we're depressed or when we're feeling down, what do? We typically are not moving around much. We're sitting in one chair or one place. So we want to move. We want to keep on keeping the body and the mind moving.
So funny you said that. I swear to God, I was taking a shower this morning. I was just thinking of depressed friend. And that's exactly what depressed people do, right? They don't move. And that's actually.
I mean, every single
when
cell.
When you don't move, it makes you more depressed.
I mean, think about it. Every single cell in our body is in constant motion, right? The cells, we're made to move as human beings. We're goal-seeking creatures, and in order to achieve goals, there has to be some sort of action and momentum moving forward, because a goal is something that we don't have, that we want, that's somewhere out there. So we're just designed as human beings to move in some capacity.
Exactly. And because we don't live as people lived thousands of years ago, they didn't need exercise because they moved all day long.
Exactly.
Right? Now we invented exercise because we don't move any longer. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So exercise, meditation, nature, that's kind of what both of us do, and it really, really works, and we know there's a lot of research on it. So the second one, again, of course, everybody does, a physical hygiene, right? But how many of us do the emotional hygiene? How many of us check inside and see what's going on, right? How many of us stop that downward spiral and take the action to stop it? What do you think, my friend?
Yeah, I think the emotional hygiene. I mean, I shower at least once a week, whether I need it or not. So, so, so I'm good to go there. The emotional
So,
hygiene.
so then I was right when I said this show is just like the Seinfeld show, comedians in a car having coffee,
Yeah.
right? Except that we're not gonna be that funny, but you are.
So the emotional hygiene piece, I do think that right that ties into a lot of the work that we do in the area of mindfulness and recognizing the emotions that you're having in any situation. I mean, many of us, on a serious note, have lost people either that are close to us or that are extendedly close to us in some form or fashion. You know, many of us have children that are wearing masks and not going to school for a year. You know, the whole deal. So really being able to check in on that emotion, being mindful, and making sure that you're not holding those emotions in, because there's been research out there that says that one of the main causes of really emotional I guess mental disturbance is the bottling up of emotions and not
Yes.
expressing them. I would throw in there that the reason many times we don't express the emotion is because we have no idea whatsoever what the emotion is, because the human tendency is not to want to sit in that emotion and to understand it. It's to get the hell away from it. But emotional hygiene is being mindful, not dwelling in it, but being mindful of it, accepting it, and then treating yourself kindly, moving in and say, okay, well, I need to take this action or this action for a better tomorrow.
Right. Right. Uh, so, uh, so we talked about emotional. This just reminded me. Yesterday, I had a discussion
Hey,
with.
Roxana. Sorry about that, brother. We got to
Hello,
move.
Roxana. Yeah. We love Roxana. She's been a student for like so many years, and we keep learning from each other. Thanks, Roxana, for coming. So we talked about. Where was I? Yes. So yesterday I had a discussion with one of my student who's from Eastern Europe, and basically we said that this is really hard to, positive psychology and happiness, especially organizational. It's actually hard because most people out there, they want to be macho men, right? It's like there are no emotions. And finally, we're getting out of that in certain part of the world, that macho men is saying, yes, men have emotions too. All right, we cry, we scream, we yell, we love, we hug, we do same things that women do, right? So that's something, some part of the world, seriously, it's a little bit different. Actually, I think even here was like that
Yeah,
years
even
ago.
here it's I mean,
Changing,
even here
yeah.
it's different. Again, it's really just being mindful of what it is that you're experiencing. I think in that moment, and not. Of course, there are times you have to repress it and you have to put it away because the context of the situation um, might not call for you to be mindful in that moment. But making sure that emotional hygiene is in place, that you're going to understand yourself. Because if you don't understand yourself, who the hell's ever gonna?
Right, right. So I'm happy this is ringing the bell and people are connecting with emotional hygiene and really looking inward, right?
Yeah.
And making sure that we don't create the downward
That
spiral.
self-awareness piece, right? Because without, I mean, that self-awareness
Yes,
piece is, and everybody is striving for self-awareness. There is no end point of self-awareness,
of course. There is
right?
there is there is endpoint.
Maybe. Well, we don't know that yet.
Well, but when we're gone, there is, right.
Yeah.
That's the end point basically. But until then, we better be aware. Uh, there is one thing that, again, you and I talked a lot, and it's kind of like really my top subject of research, which is habits. And what I really recommend people highly is to, continue with the existing habits, and create new ones. Now, there are some that you may not be able to do, right? So you're not going to go to work every day. You're not going to go to shopping every day. Maybe you don't go shopping at all, like me. I'm actually going shopping today. It's a big day for me. But after the show, but really continuing with your existing habits, from the time you wake up, all right, making your bed to possibly doing the exercise, brushing your teeth, taking a shower. All right, if you're working from home, right, like many of us do, get dressed like you are going to the office. Today is my casual day with Patrick.
Same,
But when
yeah.
I go to the office, I'm dressed up, regardless that I don't need to turn on my camera. Make sure your desk is clean and nicely ready for you to do the work. So all these things are really, really important so that we don't drag again, going the downward spiral and thinking about pandemic, because life has to go on. What do you think, my friend?
Yeah, keeping that normalcy as much as you possibly can, and keeping it now, because the pandemic messed up a lot of routines,
Yes.
right? It just threw our routines out of whack for families, not just the individual,
Yes.
right? It's the family unit and the social unit, the routines. My one of my really great friends I grew up with, since we're about 12 years old, we've remained in touch and good friends up until this time. And until the pandemic, we saw each other once a month. We made it a habit to get out and see each other. Now I've only seen him once since the pandemic. Now we talk a lot, so that routine was thrown out of whack. But as much as we can, keeping those habits, keeping those routines, the ones that are not outside of your control, it's a big benefit. It just that it provides that stability
Yes.
for yourself, and if you have a family, again, for your family.
Yes, and I would say, there are things that you can do even more of now to help your overall well-being, happiness, and achieving even, bigger goals. And, we talked about number one, which is that exercise. Well, maybe you didn't exercise enough before. You didn't have a time because your commute was 2.5 hours like mine, right? And you didn't want to get up 5 o'clock like I do. Well, now you do have a time. I got to tell you this. Last weekend, my entire family got together. I get the goosebumps. It was just wonderful, right? See these pictures, hugging each other. And then, we were talking about what we do. And my niece says, well, finally she got some bike and so on. And she said, well, I don't have a time. I don't have 1 hour. I was like, yes, you do. Don't tell me you don't have. We all can start from 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keeping those habits, keeping that normalcy, and like you said, adding new habits in, and not. So there was that going narrative, right, about COVID. Everybody gains 10 pounds during COVID, but that's an opportunity to say you're going to go against the grain. And I was fortunate. I learned this many years ago, Bratza, when I was I think I was 30 the first time I went on a cruise ship. And so, 24 years ago, almost 25 years ago now. And I remember the going narrative. Everybody goes on a cruise ship, they come out 20 pounds heavier. But at that point in my life, I really cared, and I still do, about my physical body. It's the only one I have as far as I know.
That's the only one I believe is true.
So I went on that cruise ship with a different mindset. I said, I'm going to flip this on its head. I said, I'm going to go on the cruise and be the only person who comes off this cruise ship after 10 days having lost weight. And sure enough, I went on. And of course, the food was delicious. And I managed myself. I skipped the midnight buffet. And I wound up losing, I think, 3 pounds on that cruise. So we can actually take new routines that are counterintuitive to what the going narrative is.
Right. Just want to say hey to Paula, and this is really true. Actually, she said, find normalizing what we can do as normal is better than trying to live as what was normal. That is really such a great statement. She's saying, well, what was normal? Yeah, exactly. Beautiful statement. Thanks, Paula, for sharing. So interesting. Okay, so as far as cruise, I got to tell you, I haven't been to one. I'm planning to. I will not be able to. Well, I could do what you did, but I'm not going to. Right. So that's why I will enjoy myself.
I enjoyed myself. I just flipped the narrative for myself. That was just something I wanted to. I didn't want to come off there 10 pounds heavier.
You make a great point. Sorry, I missed it. Yes. You enjoy yourself. But it is interesting what you just said about losing weight. my entire family and my friends that I saw the other day outdoors says you're the only person I know that lost weight during pandemic. So is it? Yes, as you said, it is an opportunity.
But the opportunity is this, though. It's not that you lost weight during the pandemic. It's not that I went on a cruise ship and lost weight. The opportunity is that if you can do it in the hard time, imagine when it's easier. It was, like on a cruise ship, the buffet, the food is insane. It's ridiculous. As my grandmother would have said, it's atrocious how much food there's there.
Yes.
But if you can do it then and manage your cravings at that point, then you can do it at any time.
And this is how we build resilience and, so many things that you and I talk about.
Yeah. And I know we have one more we want to chat about.
We do have one more we want to talk about. And that one more is, you said earlier that you have a friend that you used to see him all the time, but you said a key word which I want to really address now. We know that relationships are number one predictor of happiness. There's just so much research, and we don't need research, right? We know that relationships are so important. It's not about just my spouse, my partner, my parents, my grandparents. It's about everybody around us, including strangers, right? But how about you actually said the key word? We talked about, how relationships are important. You couldn't see him, but you still keep calling each other. Mm-hmm. So it's funny. I just had that bullet before, how it's really important. Just pick up a phone and call one friend a day. Yeah. Just make a phone call. Like, enough of this I'm sorry, young kids, but enough of this texting crap, right? Let's talk. This texting is okay, but we got to talk to each other.
And even better than just a simple call is like with my mother. What I did during the pandemic is I put the WhatsApp on her phone so we can actually do the video calls. She still hasn't figured out how to answer it, but occasionally we've been able to do it. So even that, if you can get a video call going with somebody who you're a good friend with. And once a day is a good thing to shoot for. Maybe say you're going to do it once a day. And if it only happens 3 times a week, at least, right, it's better than nothing.
Yes. Just wanted to say good morning to Mary. She's actually watching every show ever since we started.
Who is it, Marie? I took my glasses off. Marie?
I know she told me she put the reminder on her cell so that anytime, or cell phone rather, or anytime that we go live.
Marie doesn't let the good stuff go by, that's for sure.
Exactly. I love that sun, and good morning. It's beautiful sunny here in New Jersey. Beautiful. I just love my view from my office. So it really is beautiful. Thanks, Marie, for joining. So, and you said, video call, it is so important. You know what my son said the other day? Because he calls every day now with his kid, with the baby 2-year-old. He said, Dad, you now see me much more than you used to see me before pandemic. That's so true.
Yeah.
That is true. So lots of opportunity, things that we should really, really watch for, as we said earlier. So start from, exercising and meditation and being in the nature, and hopefully exercising in the nature, as Patrick does a lot, keeping those physical and emotional hygiene and looking inward, especially for emotional, because physical we do. Yes, Patrick does once a week.
At least, whether I need it or not.
But, that's a Patrick. I know you guys take shower every morning. So continue with existing habits and hopefully create new ones that will help you go through this really, really hard time. And think of relationships as a number one predictor of happiness. So call a friend, do the video call, do something.
Yeah. So call Brazzo, call me if you have nobody else to call.
You and I talk more than I sometimes want to, so we're good. Just kidding, my friend. Just kidding. Yeah, and jokes aside, Patrick and I call each other and we talk and we help each other So it's really, really important. Help through hard and through good times. So with that said, hey Patrick, thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you guys later. Cheers. Bye. Okay.